Ma'am, shall we start? Nancy, ma'am?
Just a moment. It is redirecting to YouTube.
Okay.
We can start now.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, first. Yes, Sharmila ma'am is there?
Just a moment. It is. Yes, we can start.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, good morning, ma'am.
Very good morning, Nancy and Manushree.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. So, as we know, today is the 15th day of the session organized by MESC, Media and Entertainment Skills Councils, in collaboration with GMAC. So, our today's speaker is, I think personally, we don't require any introduction, but still, I'm honored, and this is a great opportunity for me that I get this opportunity. So our today's topic is storytelling and documentation, deciphering the media ecosystem, and reported by none other than Dr. Sharmila Kayal ma'am. And she is an associate professor of communication management at Kolkata-based Adams University. She has involved with studies related to media and communications. She takes up the empirical challenges and strategies in the area of media and communication research studies. Dr. Kayal has done her PhD in mass communication from Pondicherry Central University. Apart from that, she worked as a full-time faculty member of UGC and on course of journalism and mass communication in Fakir Mohan Autonomous College, Basel, Balasar, Orissa. And her area of interest includes advertising, health communication, audiovisual culture, and communication. She has published paper in Journal of National and International Repute and represented paper in various conferences held in UAE, Russia, Bangladesh, Thailand, and many more. Her research project has been accepted at University of Toronto, Canada in the year of 2020. We are so grateful and we are so glad to have you on the platform, ma'am. Without any delay, I would like to request to ma'am, the next 1 hour session or more than 1 hour session is totally yours, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It is, great to see a student learn and grow. Manushree was my student. She has done her master's degree from Adams University, and to see her, successful being a filmmaker here in, managing GMAC so efficiently. Thank you, Nancy, and the technical team for the GMAC, and Amrish sir for giving me the opportunity, and Yukis sir for believing in me that I could, deliver the lecture suitably to the stakeholders, that is the learner and knowers of media and communication. So a very good morning to one and all present over here. I hope everybody here are doing well and best of their health. Myself, Sharmila Kayal, Associate Professor and Head in School of Media and Communication, Kolkata-based Adams University. I would like to start with a quote. The most amazing thing for me is that every single person who sees a movie or any content, not necessarily one of my movies, brings a whole set of unique experiences, but through careful manipulation and good storytelling, you can get everybody to clap at the same time, to hopefully laugh at the same time, and to be afraid at the same time. This has been said by Steven Spielberg, and he has renowned filmmaker. And I like to quote again, many stories matter. Stories have been used to dispose and to malign, but stories can also be used to empower and to humanize. Stories can break the dignity of a people, but stories can also repair that broken dignity. This quote has been stated by Chinmanandanoji Adichie. He is, a successful author. And there are few questions that I would like to think upon by yourself. What information do you have for telling the story? Is it anecdotes and simple facts supports the story? information gathered in community engagement, photos and videos from engagement, activities, community meetings. Then next is who tells the story. Lead with the community voices, other voices which can help for artists, community activists, respected leaders, elected officials. And the next is, where will you tell the story? Earned media, like reporting in media outlets, social media like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. In-person events, webinars like this, email blasts, blog post, op-ed outlets. So do you have the right personnel for your storytelling? Like, are you the artist, graphic designer, as a writer, as a videographer, and as a photographer also? Does your evaluation and data gather offer material for storytelling? So what needs to be measured or collected? Can you show how many people you reached? How many you engaged? Can you show that what's changing or changed? So without a further ado, I shall start today's presentation, and let me share my screen. So it is clear that today's webinar is all about on storytelling and documentation, deciphering the media ecosystem. So why, as you can see that there are two things that need to be thought and need to be pondered upon why storytelling is, very much important in today's context, and how can be documentation done on the basis of good, effective storytelling. So as the media is concerned, it is the vehicle that carries the information, carries the content. So there can be print media, it can be electronic media, it can be internet, social media. So how it engages the audiences, how it attracts the attention of the readers, viewers, the stakeholders as a customer or consumer. So storytelling is not altogether meant for only cinema or any entertainment purpose, but for giving information, giving knowledge, any piece of data that can have also be integral approaches of storytelling, so that the stakeholders would know better and can fall for it. And today's youngsters at the Gen Z especially, who lacks the attention span, irrespective of the in contrast to the Gen Z or Y, it can have the approach in such a way that they can devote their time for more and more in aspiring or grasping the storytelling part. So good storytelling requires lots of time and effort to master. So it is a art that knowing that how can your business communication, how can your data journalism, how can visualization of photographs that tells a different types of story that engages and throws the audience for every time it for them. So if it's the most important factor, if you want your audience to connect with your writing a blog and publish it, not necessary that it engages the audiences. Engages got hooked onto your story if it tells a different, different aspect, a newer approach that breaks the conventional part of storytelling. So the good storytelling requires methods, frameworks, and master of after doing rigorous writing, rigorous photographs, rigorous videos. So storytelling is not related to only the audio visual. Through visuals, through audio, through your write-ups, through your in-person communication, or any content, you can master over it. You need to know that it should not be bored to others who are consuming the content, and it should have the proper framework of giving the right input to the customers or the readers or the viewers. So here we can say that emotions, or the story, the climax, the narration, the narratives, also the important part in storytelling. So here, from exposition to increase the inciting incident, then rising action, then falls the crisis, then climax, denouement, and then end. But makes a good story, which is a methodical and been practiced over the period of time. So visual storytelling is divided into three parts, as we can see. So first one is, it is to tell the user what they need to hear. It's a combination of imagery, text, animation, and video. So multimodality is there. It's not about, by reading a book, by reading, your J.K. Rowling's or Tolkien's, you will you will literally visualizing the thing, the character with color, with the landscape, with the forest, whatsoever it is. And the text drives you crazy about that what is going to happen, the suspense, the thriller, the dramatic, that the romance, everything you need to feel. Then in the visual also, that animation important plays an important part, and the videograph. So it allows users to understand how the product helps them. So visual storytelling, you can say that it's about fiction, it's about non-fiction, it's all about the advertising. It's not only related to film, but across the transmedia approach it has. So why should we incorporate storytelling? First, storytelling makes your writing memorable. In the childhood, we all have read good comics books, good story books, good fables, and etc. etc. Today also we do remember and we do visualize, but because the lucid languages, the lyrics, that synchronization of the lyrics, and it in the power of engagement, the power of unforgettable memory that it has created, the unique character, unique name, the character that they have fought for, the protagonist, the antagonist, everything we do remember. So that writing part, it's an integral approach that whosoever the learners, like the students who are watching this program, this webinar, it's meant for the skill development. So how can you build your skill? So knowing this visual storytelling is important, and practicing the ingredients, and the more and more you practice, you can achieve the success. So storytelling at its core is about sharing your experiences, your knowledge, the things that have inspired you. Suppose you are traveling, you are experiencing the journey of staying in another place, their culture, the weather, the atmosphere, the ambience, the food, the people, new people, their way of selling their product, a new product to you, everything come in and around with you. So how it can go further? How can it inspire us for writing a piece of information in such a way that one should find interesting? It about the text. Then comes about vlogs or the videographs and all. Suppose you are now, the vloggers are on the rise for everything, for food, travel, for in many genre. The YouTubers or the students or the learners of media and communication, the practicing. So they start with the but specific genre, what you have an interest for it, and you develop it by the more experience you nurture with, and it can be put forth. So when we share stories, we are inviting people to participate in the experience. And that's why stories are so impactful. It tells about that, okay, this is not the story about that certain character. It can happen to us. It can happen to your friend. It can happen to any particular society. So the relativity, to build the relativity is very much important. Then It allows us to relate to each other, better understand the concept, and acknowledge the voices of those around us. So, because stories encourage personal connection, they are an effective method for engaging an audience and helping them to remember the content that is. So now comes the another important part, that is data storytelling. So as I said that storytelling does not limit to only the films or the OTT or the entertainment part of the media, but the information of any news media for any business communication, the data storytelling also important discipline. So there it has been divided into four parts. As you can say, that circle is being interrelated. So first is context for communication. What is the context that you need to communicate? So the context is to understand the audience. Who is the audiences that are going to have your information, have your data? It should have the clear purpose at the goal, and the feedback loops is there. So if the data is about related to COVID or new viruses that has been come or arise in our society or in our country, so who is the stakeholders? The age group, the gender, the geographics, and it should have the clear purpose to give awareness, to give information, or to give knowledge, or to give precautionary measures so that they should not affect by it. Then there should be a feedback loops. If they want to have further information, where they will click or where they will contact person for the same. The next important is that narrative. Narrative means language and messaging. The language should be very simple, understandable, and the messaging, so it should have a clear message, clear intention of the communication to reach out to the particular audiences or desired audiences. Then it should have the beginning, middle, and end. That is invertical pyramid style structure of narration or the narratives. Then call to action. They will think about it and they will follow up. Then third is the data. So suppose you say that 76% have taken the vaccine of the COVID-19 or the Covishield or Covaxin, whatever it is. So what is the source of the data that you are telling to the audiences? It is authentic or it is not. So because of the credibility, to have the more credibility, one should have cite the data source. Then statistical analysis. Simple statistical analysis with the bar graph, chart graph, pie. So it enables the reader to compare and contrast with the crisp information, or it need not to have a full page, analytical form of, analysis or interpretation. Only one image in the bar graph can give full set of information that is required. Then accurate representation is also very much important. Then visual design, the design principles, the color combination, the contrast, the vibrancy of the color, the design elements, and the imagery is the core principle of the data storytelling. So first one is human-centered design and storytelling, then data reporting, then data visualization, and the techniques. So here is the example of the chart template, where you can say that from May to September, there is the rise and the fall of this thing. And here is the visualization technique that the differently abled persons, like 76% voters support elements for elderly incarcerated people suffering from a chronic disease. How can you, give new information to your desired audiences in such a way that they will understand the core concept of the message and they can have the related, information or inputs about it. So if we look at this from a neuroscience perspective, storytelling is effective for two reasons. First one, So you will be saying that, it's a theoretical thing. Storytelling is will come automatically because we know how to write the report. There are many information that has been floated in various mediums like print media, electronic media, whatsoever. It's why this is needed to to understand or to know new storytelling, because in the neuroscience perspective, humans are hardwired to respond to storytelling. So our brains light up when we hear stories, which creates the connections we need to remember. First one is oxytocin, a neurochemical that helps us to feel connected with others, is released when we hear and connect to stories. So it should be no surprise then that storytelling helps to connect us to our audience. So according to Paul, why your brain loves good storytelling? When you want to motivate, persuade, or to be remembered, start with a story of human struggle and eventual triumph. It will capture people's hearts by fast attracting their brains. Suppose a feature story of a daughter of a rickshaw puller or someone, the farmer has become the IAS officer. Everybody is going to read the personal struggle of that a girl, and irrespective of all the hurdles in socioeconomic condition, the problem that has been arised for the higher education whatsoever it is, she has become the administrative officer position. That is, the topmost position in our country. So that struggle, that triumph, that suffering comes with, if it comes with a story, everybody is going to read. So it can become in the hard news also, like crime. What is the motive? Why is how somebody has killed, or what is the motive behind, the psychology behind it? Why the elderly persons in Kolkata are in they are susceptible. Many a times they are being killed. So what is the law and order? How it can be get improved? So if that kind of news, that kind of information comes with the story, and it believe you in me that that attention span that get increased, and the audiences or the readers, they fall for the information, and they do read it, and they remember it for the longer period of time. So how does storytelling relate to technical documentation? Does it mean that you should start writing your, files as you are writing a new episodes of Stranger Things? No. However, there are some basic principles of storytelling that you can apply in technical writing to make your docs more engaging. The following are some storytelling concepts that apply to technical communication can bring a lot of benefits. First one is defining a protagonist of your story. Second one is defining a setting for your story. Defining a premise for reasoning behind your story. Defining a clear starting and ending point of your story. Breaking down your story in scenes. Okay, so storyboarding is very much important. And the structure of your story gives you, proper beginning, the climax, and the struggle, and in the end. Some of these concepts may not seem very intuitive at first. Let's dive into each one so you can start making technical documentation more engaging. So the 5 C's of the storytelling arc, as circumstances, conflict, crisis, climax, and conclusions. So there should be first circumstances. What circumstances, what the surfaces that you have started the story. Then there should be conflict. Then the crisis arising. Then there will be climax to fight on, or to drive away that crisis that is there. And last is the conclusion part. So there is the few photographs that the popular storytelling that has been come from the novel and the children's storybook, and it is very popular by the narration, by the, climax, by the crisis, and the conclusion. And there are many, visuals, the characters, the costumes, the time period, and their magic of engaging the audiences. It is, very well done, and it is very popular to learn from all the storytelling approaches in altogether. So defines a protagonist, and every character is important. In a story, every character is important. You cannot deny that only protagonist is only important, and we give, focuses to that. So, and the secondary characters also is an integral part of that. So all stories have a hero or main character. Your technical documents should have one too. If the user that is following your instructions has to perform their task using administrator access, make an administrator the hero of your story. So different characters that can be involved in the same story, but the actions they perform are different depending on the role they have. For example, let's say your story is about the development of an application. If you tell the story with the developer as the hero, you would be writing a section of developer's guide. If the hero is instead an administrator, that would fit better in an administrator's guide. Okay. So defining a setting for your story. The next important aspect is that every story needs a great location. The same applies to documentation. Before people invest time and energy on your documentation, provide them with answers to the following question. So the question is, where is the story happening? Give your readers some context. Tell them about the functions of the application and let them know where it can be executed. Is it a mobile application? Is it for, any DTS thing? Is it for any news related to development? Is it related to, health? Is it related to any cinema? Any content of advertisement that you are planning to design of? Is it a web app? What OS version do the readers need to run the software? So what is the story happening? Write down when you are pushing your document and tell them what it expires. This way, your readers will know from the beginning of the document if it will still work. So define a premise and reasoning behind your story. Your next step should be to write an interesting overview. This overview works as the thesis of your story, giving the reader specific information about what they are about to read in your document. This is an opportunity to show readers that what they are reading is important and why. So don't just say that the admins have to stop and restart the system when a deploy fails. Explain why they should do it. Maybe even what can happen if they don't. Okay. So next important thing is define a clear starting and ending point for your story. Make sure that your user, how long the task in your documents is going to take. If there are a lot of tasks required to get to one goal, divide your text into different chapters or sections. Suppose it is needed that for what you are writing the story. If it is a business, to understand the, you have identified the target market and you are building up some kind of, new product for a desired market. So you can emphasize on establishing the circumstances on the ground that, this is meant for you and how. You start with the, the area that you have identified. Then you have divided the, focuses on the age group. After the target market, you will define your product is for whom and how, age group, or is it for youth? Is it for children? Is it for, elderly? You define the age group and the gender and who is the customer. Or if it is for, journalistic write or article in future, do good amount of research and you write accordingly. So you could have a short story about a particular incident in the life of the character Or you can have a big novel, different chapters about different things that happen to different characters. The whole novel is one story, but it is divided into different scenes or chapters that focus only one character in a specific situation. So it is related to novel or the book or the popular fiction or the non-fiction, if it is technical communication, business communication, advertisement, or journalistic writing, that you need to identify, and you have to define the clear strategy. Then next is break down your story in different scenes. So when creating technical documentation, be clear about that is, related to the non-fiction thing. Now for technical documentation, you should be clear about, or what should be clear about the task and their consequences. You will find that it is easier to follow the whole process from start to finish more easily for the technical documentation specifically. You will be able to follow up with the next steps in logical sequences of events if you define who is doing what and why. So for selling one, chocolate, which character you need, what they will do, and how much animation requires or film is required, the story that you will pick up, which is not there, before, and how can it engages and gives a different kind of experience, altogether to your, viewers or the customers. Sometimes people have an idea that seems solid in their heads. Then they write it down, jumping from part to another, assuming the reader will follow their same thinking process. But that is not always the case. What you believe is easy to understand can be fuzzy to others. Identifying all the steps in a task will help you realize if your documentation story is missing something. It can also help identify any areas where something could go wrong. You can add a note or warning for readers to keep in mind when following the process. So next important thing is that what story will you tell? What is the umbrella for the message? The big idea? The overall organizing idea for your project should be the starting point for all messages as the project unfolds. Repeating this idea each time you report or offer a call to action creates an echo chamber and offers a model for others to follow. So keep it interesting by changing the words. There is no need to memorize an opening sentence or paragraph. For example, a street painting project may have primary goals of pedestrian safety and community connection. So repeating these big ideas at the beginning of every discussion helps to build understanding that the art is achieving important shared community goals. Another example of the multimodality is that what can be seen need not to be shown, or what need to be seen in that, in that visuals need to be understood and need to be picked up very diligently, because in the visuals, every, screen, what is being there to synchronize, and it gives us also a clear picture. Suppose a journalist or a reporter goes to the field and reporting one accident. So in and around that screen which is visible need not have to tell everything in detail, but to have a good story that can be have a different perspective should be told to the viewers. So next important is that how will you connect the big idea and your story to what the community knows and cares about. Making the story framing relevant is critical to capturing the attention of the residents and other audiences, because creative placemaking projects are responsive to and often led by community residents. So is there a personal story that makes the point of your overall message in a useful way? So the answer is, it can be helpful to generate interest by having a community member to talk about the project. If you are as a student, if you have gone for the project and you are writing a report based on the project. So what the characters that you will be assigned, who can help you. It is also tricky to tell a person story without drawing the reader away from the community goals and focusing on the individual circumstances. Many often we say that documentaries are boring, we do not watch it because there is a lack of connection or excitement that in form of the story that is there. So we do not watch. So the more entertainment part, like OTT or cinema, we would like to watch that part. But documentaries can also be very diligently, can be effectively have the storytelling approach so that it can think about to identify the spokesperson who exemplifies the primary organizing ideas in ways that discourage to stick to individual circumstances. Even when offering a personal story, start with the big idea and then offers the individual experience as it fits under the umbrella. For example, hundreds of neighborhood residents are coming together to create a colorful street mural at the main street painting party. It should not be hard, but it's helpful to use a news hook when you can. So even in the documentaries, even in the blogging, even in the developmental reporting, this storytelling art need to be practiced and put forth. So what information do you have for telling the story? As I said, anecdotes and simple facts supports the story. Information gathered in community engagement. It always good to have the empirical based examples that should be reflected in your write-ups. The community engagement, if it is audiovisual, you can directly go to and you can engages the community. If it is a technical writing, if it is for advertisement and all, so there the person who engages that one. If it is photos and videos from engagement activities, community meeting. So special note about data is don't overdo it on facts and data in public storytelling. This can be helpful in private meetings to decision makers, but not usually easy to understand or persuasive in dialogue with the public. So data storytelling needs, art and the limit like bar chart or pie chart, the complex statistical analysis not able to deciphered by the public as a whole. So you need to understand that who are going to view, read or consume the content. What is the main aim of that particular media and who are the stakeholders. By knowing that one can have the structured storytelling in any form of the content in the transmedia. So who tells the story? Lead with the community voices, they tell the story. Other voices, artists, community activists, respected leaders and elected officials. So where will you, tell the story? As I said, this question first, on media, reporting in media outlets, social media, where you can have your story through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. In-person events, you can have your story, webinars, email and blogs and open it outlets. You can have your story and you can present. You can start, practicing this. Don't think that you are the learner, so you're the student, so you cannot able to do that. But you start writing and develop the story, and then you can able to publish this in this any kind of thing. And there are many, social media or the internet pages are dedicated for the young students who will write up the story with the graphics, with the good photos, audio visuals, and many more. So do you have the right personnel for your storytelling? So is it artist or graphic designer, writers, videographers, photographers? So some volunteers can provide these services, but in general, creative personnel should be paid for their work. But if you are, having a nag on photography, so you need to understand what is the, photo storytelling important aspect. How can you do it? Where is the right amount of audiences who can view your photographs, the storytelling thing? How can you narrate the story? But how the, have the different lens of seeing that particular perspective that is been there in the society, and how well you can communicate to the, mass who do not have the right sense, but they can, they can able to grasp your content. So do not underestimate the stakeholders, but you need to be careful, because there are thousands of photos, there are thousands of photography pages, visual, storytelling pages, your graphics pages, and there are many fine arts thing also. So, but they lack with this storytelling part. The storytelling, is the key thing which is missing from their, piece of information or piece of, uh, uh, dealing with the customers or the desired audiences they wanted to decipher it. Okay, so there is a, as I said, the pointers in my previous lecture, the previous slides that I had presented, you can have the idea, and by that only you can generate it and finding your own area of specialization, and according to it you can find or you can select any your core area, then you can go for the perfect storytelling thing, but in a structured and interesting manner. So does your evaluation and data gathering offer material for storytelling? So what needs to be measured or collected? So there should be a proper research, what not been there, what genre have, not done or not explored the collected information on the storytelling. So can you show how many people you reached? Like, the data visualization or the Instagram, the impressions, the analytics, the search engine optimization, the algorithms, how many views, cost per click, call to action, etc. How many you engaged? Reaching and engaging is two important parameters. You can reach thousands of people, but who are the readers or viewers or the consumers have engaged with their particular content, that need to be identified. Can you show that what's changing or changed? So after this lecture, if you haven't desired or arised interest in knowing the storytelling, and you have identified your area of specialization or your area of interest, like photography or storytelling in writing, fiction or non-fiction, and you started writing, so that is successful. So it, after my before my lecture, it has not been changed. Then storytelling part and documentation today you will learning, and then it motivates you to give you the climax, the crisis, then to reach out the conclusion. So that's a success. So after your before your thing, you are clicking the photographs without knowing your particular area of interest. By after knowing this, you have started, going for the storytelling in through visuals, through images, through photographs, through clubbing the genre, to mood, the emotion, the color, the contrast, everything, the ideas, the perspective, the dimension that you capture for one image, and presented to your audiences in a systematic manner, in an interesting manner, then only it is helpful, by the way, on which only it can be changing, it can be changed, or it can change. So collecting of stories. Basic research techniques offer opportunities to gather story material. First one is the important way is that through observations. Your observations and the observations of core partners and residents are central to the process of discovering what a project is all about. The challenge is to collect, share, and synthesize what you are observing. So the methods you use to discover a community can help the project in many ways. like in themselves with the focus of creative placemaking initiative and part of any event or project, and by evaluating the efforts. So observation is that observing the mood, observing the current practices, the ongoing or contemporary issues, observation how people are reacting to it. How can I construct newer perspective and give a fresh dimension which is not there before, which, or if it is there before, the style of presenting or the treatment of it can have a newer aspect or newer method. So photography and videography, these are common discovery methods. Consider engaging youth and professional documentary photographers and filmmakers to accompany the project, document the discovery process, design, and implementation. With photography, one can use the common sense and to know about the ethics. Do not plagiarize, do not copy, do not take if you want to choose any image of others, that you take prior consent or their approval and post it with your particular story and present it. So collect, document observation during regular special meetings, deep observation opportunities one can have. So I'm a good storyteller, but I cannot take good photograph. So I can take it and use it. But from whom I am taking, I should give acknowledgement, prior consent, and approval. So that ethics part also is important. So report forms. So create a simple form with prompts like location, time, people present, what did you observe, and to note your observations. Write it down. We have included a simple in the appendix that inspires you. So journaling means observations of partners, participants, neighbors, artists, etc. can be recorded. It can be recorded not only in the only videograph. You can record in paper. You can voice record if you are interacting. If the phone apps, different apps are there, so you can all thing you can have in your through your mobile phone. That thing you also learn. So what are you waiting for? Get your story on. There is a reason that storytelling has become somewhat of a buzzword in the marketing industry lately. Now it's very contemporary. So stories are a simple, natural way to make interesting content that motivates your audience to act. So what more could you ask for as a content marketer? So it builds memories for any content, for any integrated marketing communication, be it event, direct marketing, personal selling, advertising, public relations, whatsoever it is, the way they present or they connect with the stakeholders, audiences, viewers, it builds memories. It's a natural motivator. We, remember the 80s or 90s advertisement today also, because the way it has presented, the uniqueness it had, how they have connected the sound, the way, the lyrics, the word, the character, everything, it cultivates the relationships and very well designed and ingrained in our society. So it makes content exciting also. So it can make something old into something new, and vice versa. So any questions so far? So I request you to, have your story. What is your story? To know yourself and to try that. You can also develop a story, and through multimodality, to understanding your area of interest, which area you would like to, have a story, build the, essence of it. So thank you so much. If any questions, write to me. And
thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for this lovely session, and it's so informative. As ma'am said, that storytelling, of course, brings language learning alive and creates a, participatory and immersive experience that allows young learners like us to enjoy hearing the language in a dynamic way. uh, Ma'am, I have some questions. Like, as you cover the visual storytelling, data storytelling, which is data storytelling is really very, very informative and effective for like students like us. Ma'am, basically, what is the relationship between visualization and the narrative in data storytelling? Eh, I understood the differences, but I want to know like what is the relationship between visualization and the narrative in data storytelling?
Visualization helps you to remember what kind of story that you have. Suppose in some pandemic situation, it is very difficult to tell the audiences what kind of precaution measures one can have. So we have seen that many terms that were very new to us, isn't it? Like sanitization, self distancing, isolation, to how to wash our hand. So UNICEF has come in a newer innovative approach of have a shorter animation thing. So how it visualized to us, and how we now it's very normal for us to correlate with that terms in our day-to-day practices. So that visualization has a great power for narrating the data, narrating the information in an effective manner, so that everybody can able to understand, not only the the learned group of our society, but those who are deprived of education, deprived of socioeconomic condition, they also can able to understand the meaning of that thing, data.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Ma'am, like, so what are the future scopes for all the students who are really interested in storytelling or who want to be a storyteller? So what are the future scopes? Like, is it this future scope is only in the media sector, or we want, if we want to be a storyteller, so is any scope in academic area, like in university or in colleges also? Like,
Yes, it is a challenge for us also, because the idea of storytelling is not related to only fiction kind of thing. Because as I said, that in business communication, in advertisement, in technical writing, in journalism, in events, in public relations, or in academic also, a teacher, when he explains one concept or one topic, as I said that Amrish sir is here, I have been reading his book. So how he writes is, suppose he will write about the radio medium and all. He cites the example, he tells the story out of it, his personal experience as a journalist, or the anecdotes he has gathered. So I also try to, practice in such a way. Suppose a newer push and pull strategy, I will, try to explain to my student. It's not about the defining what is push and pull strategy, but how it, gives a real story, or as a customer, how I feel it, to have the proper anecdotes of different angles, so that the students will visualize, can feel that okay, this also happened with us. Like who is a customer and who is a consumer. A customer can be a consumer, or if I say, Manushri, a customer can be a consumer, but a consumer cannot be a customer. It's a very complex interpretation that I have given. But if I come with a good story, good example, good anecdotes, being a customer, being a consumer, then only everyone can able to understand it. It's not related to only fiction, but it is the practice that needed to be done in every field and every aspects of being in academics, being in industry. It is print media, electronic media, if it is entertainment, fiction, non-fiction, cinema, OTT, journalism, everywhere.
ma'am, of course, there are like at the same time, listener and speaker both are important thing. So there are so many points like the benefits of this storytelling, or actually the good qualities of storytelling. So what are the most 3 to 5 best qualities to being a good storyteller?
Okay. First one is your circumstance. First one is the how you first you develop the premises that you start with the characters. Assign the characters. Who are the central characters? Remember every character that you think about, that is important. Then what is the crisis, the climax, and the conclusion. See, these are the 4 things: circumstance, crisis, climax, and conclusion. That is the integral plot of any storytelling.
Thank you, ma'am. Like, I have so many questions. Amritsar is here. So without any delay, I would love to ask sir to take hold the platform and say few words regarding this entire session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Manushi. For whatever time I was not able to be there for the whole of the lecture, for whatever time I was there, a lot of things I could make out as to what kind of presentations it was. And the points that Dr. Sharmila raised are very valid, because he gave a complete 360 view as to what a storytelling is. And it's something which is not confined to fiction. Normally, storytelling is directly associated with fiction, but it's a in a way the way the style with which you narrate your things. So it equally applies to advertising, it equally applies to journalism and other streams, other disciplines of media. And once you develop that art, because this session is primarily meant for media aspirants, or the students who might be taking tomorrow media as a subject of study, and might be pursuing media as a profession, whichever platform or whichever job they might be associated with. But the most important thing is how to present yourself, and how to present your contents to the end users or consumers or viewers or readers, whatever we call them. Because if that's not done, and if you are making your presentation or presenting your content in a very dull and boring manner, then obviously nobody is going to receive them, or whatever vital things might be there in the content. And as Dr. Sharmila rightly explained, there are, I mean, so many things which have to be kept in mind. Firstly, obviously, we all understand in the communication world, we need to know our audience. And then obviously we need to structure the message in a manner, whether we are using graphics or audio or video or the text or whatever, which is easily the audience can relate with, so the reception becomes effective. And it's the essential thing in communication. So storytelling is actually something which enhances the communication, which increases the acceptability. And this is something which we all need to learn, those who are in one way or the other in the communication field, whether we as researchers, as media educators, as trainers, as media professionals, as journalists, as advertising people, and even the students who are studying media, they all need to learn this art. So I'm really thankful to Dr. Sharmila that in such an exhaustive presentation, he almost covered everything with regard to storytelling and all. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, one thing, Manushi, I would like to
Yes,
add. I
yes,
forgot.
sir.
Uh, the quality of your questions was really good in today's.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. To thank you so much, ma'am. Your words and your presence really it plays a significant role for us, like being a student or those who are watching right now. This is really very helpful and informative. So tomorrow we have another session as well. So which is on 17th October, reported by Dr. Manish Jaiswal, and the topic will be cinema as tool of communication from 1930 to 1947 on 17th of October from 3:30 p.m. Please stay tuned and follow the YouTube channel. We will circulate all the links and all links and posters on the social media. Please follow us. So today we are concluding here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.